In September 1974, deep within the secretive confines of the Design Bureau of Mechanical Engineering in Roitov, just outside Moscow, a team of Soviet engineers received a classified directive that would forever alter the grim calculus of nuclear deterrence. Document number 695-227 outlined the creation of an automated command and control system for strategic nuclear forces, one capable of operating even if the entire upper echelon of Soviet military and political leadership was obliterated. This wasn't just a weapon, it was a fail-safe ghost in the machine of mutually assured destruction. The West called it the Dead Hand. Soviet records. Perimeter. A doomsday system that doesn't sleep. A machine designed to outlive its creators. Half a century later, amid escalating global tensions, one question echoes in strategic circles. Can it be turned off? By the early 1970s, this delicate balance began to crack. The United States introduced precision strike doctrines, the so-called decapitation strike strategy. Its goal: cripple the Soviet Union by removing its head before it could respond. Pershing II missiles deployed in Europe could reach Moscow in 5 minutes. Trident submarines offshore cut warning times to barely 7. In May 1973, during a Politburo session, General Secretary Leonid Brezhnev personally reviewed intelligence on American decapitation strategies. Archival protocols capture his directive: the need for a system that could deliver retribution even after the total annihilation of national leadership. To the Soviet mind, deterrence required certainty. It wasn't enough that weapons existed. The enemy had to know they could never silence them. Leading the charge was Chief Designer Vladimir Yarinich, a veteran of intercontinental ballistic missile guidance systems. He assembled a cadre of elite specialists to breathe life into this concept of guaranteed retaliation. The Military Industrial Commission allocated 4 years and 80 billion rubles to the project. The client, the main directorate of the Strategic Missile Forces, which commanded a formidable arsenal of 1,400 intercontinental ballistic missiles. Yarinich, with team, had designed guidance systems for ICBMs and understood the language of rockets and algorithms better than politics. Now he was building something radical, not a missile, but an entity of logic that could decide. The technical specifications for Perimeter demanded a network of sensors to autonomously detect a nuclear assault on Soviet soil and authorize a counterstrike. Yarinich, collaborating with experts from the Research Institute of Automation and Instrumentation, architected a system reliant on 3 independent data streams. Layer 1. Seismic sensors. A web of seismic sensors buried 15 to 25 meters underground across the European USSR. These stations, housed in 2-meter diameter shafts, featured ultra-sensitive RIveting devices capable of registering ground shocks from explosions exceeding 100 kilotons at ranges up to 800 kilometers. Each was powered by radioisotope thermoelectric generators, ensuring 20 years of uninterrupted operation. Data streamed via shielded cables to a central computing hub in a bunker near Solnechnogorsk. Layer 2. Radiation monitors. The second channel monitored radiation via beta-M radiometers perched on 20 to 40 meter masts near major cities and strategic sites. These devices scanned gamma levels every 30 seconds, relaying alerts to regional hubs if background radiation spiked tenfold, pinpointing contamination coordinates and timestamps. Layer 3. Communications monitoring. The third, most intricate layer tracked government activity by analyzing official communication traffic. Specialized monitors gauged the volume and urgency of calls between the Kremlin, Defense Ministry, KGB, and regional commands. A sharp drop or complete silence for over an hour signaled the demise of state governance. Perimeter's nerve center resided in a 50-meter deep reinforced bunker amid forests 20 kilometers from Solnechnogorsk. Its 300-square-meter main hall brimmed with BSM-6 computers and derivatives, interconnected by kilometers of cabling and cooled by forced air systems. These machines processed sensor inputs in real time, cross-referencing against predefined thresholds. Activation required simultaneous triggers, seismic disturbances, radiation surges, communication blackouts. Thresholds were set by the defense minister's orders, adjustable only with Politburo approval. The main missiles lurked in reinforced concrete silos buried up to 40 meters deep, or prowled on mobile rail complexes along restricted branches of the Trans-Siberian Railway. American spy satellites from the Keyhole series routinely captured high-resolution images of new launch sites stretching from Plesetsk in the north to Dombarovsky in the south, funneling data back to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency in Washington. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan steps before the nation and unveils a revolutionary plan, the Strategic Defense Initiative, or SDI. Nicknamed Star Wars, after George Lucas's blockbuster, it promised a futuristic shield against nuclear missiles. Reagan's vision was bold: space-based lasers and particle beams zapping missiles at launch, orbital interceptors for mid-flight takedowns, and ground-based radars as backup. His goal? Shatter the doctrine of mutually assured destruction and make nuclear weapons impotent and obsolete. Their missiles were evolving into intercontinental threats. SDI ignited panic in Moscow. It was a strategy to bleed the Soviet economy dry by forcing them into countermeasures they couldn't afford. By 1993, SDI cost over $30 billion. But it strained the faltering Soviet economy, accelerating the USSR's 1991 collapse. The legacy, SDI paved the way for modern defenses like THAAD and Aegis. It helped end the Cold War without a shot fired, but transformed arms race into the space. Pentagon analysts meticulously mapped Soviet rocket deployments, prompting revisions to U.S. first strike plans. The race was on. Perimeter's architecture was terrifying in its simplicity. Upon activation, Perimeter dispatched commands to specialized command missiles like the 15P011 or Rokot series, which ascended to 400 kilometers and broadcast encoded launch authorizations for hours. These missiles carried no warheads. They became radio towers broadcasting one final instruction across the land: launch everything. These signals unlocked ICBMs equipped to receive the signal, submarine-launched ballistic missiles beneath Arctic ice, and strategic bombers on 5-minute alert at Engels, Ukrainka, and Belaya air bases. And those forces, machines built to obey orders without emotion, would answer. Launches originated from 12 mobile rail units, each carrying 3 rockets, patrolling 4,000 kilometers of closed tracks between the Urals and Far East. Trains paused only in secure depots guarded by KGB special forces. Within minutes, thousands of warheads would rise. Even if Moscow was ash, its vengeance would fly. Perimeter operated under 4 modes. Full auto, the machine decides autonomously. Semi-auto, operators confirm system recommendations. Manual, human orders only. Automation blocked shutdown. System cold and inactive. In practice, only the first 3 were ever used. Duty officers remained in a sealed bunker, watching screens for the signs. To prevent accidents, Perimeter needed several confirmations before awakening: real blast data, radiation rise, communication blackout across the command network. Once verified, the system waited for human input. If the duty officer confirmed no leadership contact and no hope, Perimeter became absolute. The modern dead hand. Modern network, codenamed Perimeter RC or Sirena-M, is digital, integrated with intercontinental Sarmat missiles and subsystems for hypersonic weapons. It combines ground sensors, space satellites, AI-driven filters for false alarms. Command missiles gained modern transmitters and satellite navigation. RAW-TM variants can sustain 8-hour broadcasts on broader frequency bands. Mobile launchers rose to 18 units patrolling 6,000 kilometers of secured rail lines. So, can the system be turned off? Technically, yes. Perimeter has a manual override and multiple shutdown stages. Defense documents describe this protocol in 4 steps. Stage 1, manual override, issued by the President or General Staff, blocking automatic decisions. Stage 2, disarm command missiles, dismantle transmitters, 72 hours under General Staff oversight. Stage 3, sensor shutdown, 10 to 15 days, physical verifications. Stage 4, software erasure, hardware destruction before presidential commission. All signed destruction acts. Theoretically, these steps could end perimeter. In practice, they remain locked behind strategic walls. Security Council approval mandatory per decree. Economics, 250 billion rubles for alternatives versus 8 to 15 billion annual upkeep. Strategic logic. Turning it off does not disarm nuclear weapons. It removes the guarantee that Russia can retaliate. Economically, keeping the system alive is cheap. Building a replacement, colossally expensive. Abandoning it would appear as weakness. Critics call perimeter a moral catastrophe, a delegation of human conscience to circuits. Supporters call it a necessity until humans achieve trust. Modern analysts see its shadow in AI warfare today. Autonomous drones, cyber defenses, quantum command chains. These are the new dead hands of our age. In the end, perimeter was never about launching. It was about assurance, a promise encoded in steel and logic, a promise that no war could be one-sided again. Technically, the Doomsday System can be turned off, but whether the world is ready to risk it, that's another question entirely.